Thanks for joining and being on here. I think we'll have a few more that will be jumping on in the next couple minutes. But before we get going this morning, any compliance questions, anything that Jason or I can answer for you?
Not yet.
Okay, thanks, Luz. I was going to say Luz is unmuted, so maybe, but no.
No.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, well, so we have some special guests with us today. So we're going to have Blaine and Morgan that are with Earnnest to do the compliance call today and talk about Earnnest, and hopefully you guys are using it, and if not, hopefully you'll learn enough about it today that you'll want to start using it. So because it is a great way for us to collect the earnest money, makes it easy for the client. They don't have to bring a check to us. And anyway, so I'm assuming, I'm not sure if I'm turning it over to Morgan or to Blaine. So
We'll kind of
you,
tag team it if it's all right, Russ, but I'll do the
sounds
sharing.
good.
I'll do the sharing of the screen. So that
Okay,
should make that
sounds
easy.
good.
Well, thank you, Russ, for this opportunity. We really do appreciate it. As Russ said, guys, my name is Blaine Wellgraven. I'm SVP of Operations here at Earnnest. I work very closely with our strategic partnerships, success, and support teams. I don't do as many of these presentations as folks on our success team do. So, bear with me on that. I'll do my best. But I do know the product pretty well. And I do, from working with many, many agents over the course of the years, have a good feel for the workflow challenges you guys face. So we'll try to break that down today. And I'm very fortunate too to have Morgan. Morgan is our senior support specialist and payment specialist here at Earnnest. She's going to have a very relevant part of this presentation today. So again, good morning to you all. We're excited to be here with you guys. Let's dive right in on what is Earnnest. Okay. And could I just get a quick thumbs up? Y'all seeing my screen okay?
We got it.
Great. Thanks, Russ. All right, guys. So just out of curiosity, before we dive in, how many folks have used Earnnest before on this call? Just a quick digital show of hands or okay. All right. Well, for those of you who haven't, or whether those of you that have, this is going to be a really helpful introduction to the full Earnnest suite. Some of you have probably heard of Earnnest, and some of you have probably even used maybe the Earnnest phone app. We want to start at square one and give you the worldview into the security that we offer. Earnnest is not a wire or a check. You can see right here, we were created by agents actually with the goal of someday doing away with checks and wires. We use the ACH network. So like a Venmo or a Zelle, that's how we're moving the money. Now, 85% of payments in the United States today go across the ACH network. Real estate was a big exception, circa about 2017. Earnnest came onto the scene and said, you can use the ACH network digitally, and you can do so in a way that absolutely qualifies as good funds. And that's why we say it the way we do. We have redefined payment security. Guys, we're not spending a lot of time on security today. Don't worry. We are going to get into the product here in just a moment. But I love to lay this foundation for you all. We have moved $4 billion to date in earnest money, good funds, with no fraud. That is the Earnnest difference at the baseline. Now, we've got a great product. It's agnostic and adaptable, and we're going to walk you guys through it, but we like to start there. It's not just that we protect you and your buyer as well. We're also, as you can see down here, protecting the escrow holder. We have never allowed for a single cent of any chargeback or pullback attempt to impact what is now the largest escrow holder network in the United States. So end to end, earnest money with Earnnest is secure. We'd like to start there. Now, for those of you maybe that have used Earnnest, you're probably familiar with it. And this is transitioning from the security to the convenience side of things, how we actually make this work. We had to figure out how to make this workflow as simple as possible, both for you as busy agents and for your buyers. And we've come up with a process, guys, that takes 4 to 5 minutes end to end, and nobody has to go anywhere. You, as an agent, can download the Earnnest app, Earnnest with two N's, from the App Store or Google Play. You can also grab us on this resource page right here. Go to earnnest.com and look up our app suite right here. And you can go ahead and download the app from either the App Store or Google Play from there as well. But this will take you guys about 30 seconds to create your request on average. And then your buyer will get that request in their inbox and go through in an average time of about 3 to 4 minutes. You can create it from anywhere. They can pay from anywhere. Job, car line, home, whatever. That's how fast this is. And once they've gone ahead and paid, everybody gets a receipt. If you've never used Earnest before, you will know the moment the buyer pays because the receipt on the left, what we call our authorization receipt, that is the indication to all parties that the buyer has gone ahead and hit pay in Earnest system. And this doesn't just go to you as an agent. It also goes to your buyer and it automatically goes to the back office, the escrow team at C21. So this is really well set up, guys. It keeps everybody in the loop and there's no mystery around where the earnest money is, let alone the concerns about check delivery, dropping off a check with all the proper indications on it, even, of course, the growing risk of check fraud and wire fraud. The receipt on the right, you as agents will never see. That comes to the escrow team when the money is actually settled in the escrow account, and that typically arrives in 1 to 3 business days. Now, some of you have been on our trainings before and you're going, okay, with you so far. I know all about the phone app. I've downloaded it. Where we want to introduce today, for you that are part of top teams or just didn't know about it, we also have a web app experience, guys. It is the same product as our phone app. It sits adjacent to our phone app right on our website. And this is what it looks like when you sign in. So guys, if you're following me along here, right from this page you're on, see in the upper right side, admin and agent sign in, use your same email that you use to sign to the phone app to sign to the desktop app. And you now have a way working from your desktop to also create a request. There's one more critical reason before I actually show you a request that we're pushing the phone app and desktop app, one app suite to you today. One, they are an app suite. They talk to each other. If you create a request in the phone app and then go later and pull up in your desktop app, you have it there as well. If you want to track a request you created from your desktop app in your phone app, as you see on my screen here, you can do that. It's one account, two places to place a request. There's one more reason, though, we're pushing this to you guys today and introducing the desktop app. One of the feedback items we've gotten from agents over the last couple of years is that I love your product. Most of my buyers love your product. But there's a portion of my home buyers that look at your fee and go, no, I just, it's a price opportunity point. It's just too much. We have set your fees, guys, at $18 flat. That's all the home buyer ever pays is $18 flat. Whether it's 5,000 in earnest money, 10,000, 20,000, you pick the number. It stays at an $18 flat fee. That is lower than our national price average. Our national price average is 24. For you guys, we've set it at 18. Even so, we heard from agents then, this is what I'm drawing to, we heard from agents that said we'd really just like the option to cover the fee. Could you give that to us? This is how we run our business. This is how we make our money. We don't want to get hung up in a back and forth with a buyer over an $18 price point. So we built it. It is accessible today from the web app, and that is how and why we're introducing it. You will go under funding sources, and you will go through a Plaid-backed experience to add your funding source. And that is where I'm going to turn this over for a second to Morgan so she can walk you through how easy this is to do.
Yeah, thank you, Blaine. So of course, if you're an agent primarily using the mobile app, it is important to note that a bank account to cover a buyer's fee cannot be added through that mobile app. You do actually need to switch over to our web app to add that bank account that you want to cover the fee for. So as Blaine showed you that login screen, once you're signed in, you will click funding sources on the left-hand side. It's a toolbar and it will allow you, it'll take you straight into Plaid, our bank network provider, which will allow you to connect your bank account in a matter of seconds. I think I added mine recently just to test it, and it literally took me about 15 seconds. It's super quick. It's really secure, so no need to worry there. And once you've added that funding source, the main important point here is in order to be able to actually use that bank account and cover a fee, you have to set it as your default bank account. So you can see in that middle screenshot on Blaine's screen there, once your bank account is added, it shows up under your funding source list on your account. And those three dots in the right-hand corner, you do have to click. It will bring a drop down that says set as default. This is the critical step that will allow you to cover that fee. Once you go to create that request, that bank account will show up for you to be able to cover that fee. So just a emphasis there, setting it as default. Once you've set it as default and you're in the request process, it will have you search for your escrow account first. As soon as you select the escrow account that the funds are going to, you'll see the window below that says, would you like to cover the payer's processing fee? So
Perfect. Thank
super
you so
quick
much.
and easy.
Oh, thank you so much, Morgan. That's great. And guys, actually, to then back what Morgan is saying, I'll show you an example. Then once you've added your funding source and it's verified and made default in the desktop app, you can now see when you go to make a request, you're going to see it actually in your app as well as your desktop app request experience. So y'all see my desktop app here as well as my phone app. I'm going to go ahead and just actually do a live request for y'all. So you can see here we introduced the product. Again, this flow is exactly the same whether you're in the desktop app or the phone app. But now that I have connected a funding source, as Morgan described, via the web app, I can now make this request. Yep, I have the buyer's email. That's the flow I want. Okay, first screen is going to be to go ahead and input a property address. I'm going to put in a property address. And what you'll notice as I start to type is that options start to populate. Our web and phone apps are connected to Google Maps, so it's going to figure out which address you want pretty quickly. If, however, you are dealing with a new build, for example, and it's just a lot number somewhere, Google Maps probably doesn't have that yet. You can enter the address option manually. That's available for you as well. But I do see the address I'm after right here, so I'm going to go ahead and actually grab that result. It auto-populates everything for me, but it also leaves you an addenda field, agents. You can put in your apartment number or whatever the case may be. You can drop that right in. Screen 2 is entering the earnest money amount. Straightforward. And now the buyer's email address, because as you saw, and as you will see in a minute, that's how the buyer is going to interact with this request. They're going to get an email from you introducing Earnnest with all the details of the payment. Go ahead and put in the buyer first and last name. Almost home. This is where, if I was in a live setting, I'd be searching for C21 Everest. It's that easy. It's like a Netflix smart search for your favorite show. Very simple. Once you put in Everest one time for one transaction, every time you come back, it'll remember that that's your preferred escrow holder. And that's where you see these suggested settings popping in. It remembers that I've come in here before and I've used certain escrow accounts. Finally, guys, remember we talked about the Earnnest receipts just a few minutes ago. Obviously, all three core parties, the escrow team, you, and your buyer, will automatically get receipts, but you can add additional parties to the request to also get those receipts. You saw how much good information was on those receipts. We are seeing hundreds of agents every month add the lender onto the deal, using the lender email so that they get the earnest receipt as well, or a spouse. Anyone that needs to be party to it, you can add them right here. Otherwise, click continue. And this is the screen that if you don't have a funding source connected via the desktop app, this is the screen you wouldn't see. I have connected a funding source because as an agent, I want to have the option to cover the fee. So the deal just moves forward seamlessly and the buyer gets that convenient payment process. So I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, I will cover the $24 fee. It gives you the option to pick which account. Notices that it's got a default setting here. So I've already done that. You're all set to go. From there, you click continue. It updates the information to note you're covering the fee. Everything else looks good, or you can make edits. And guys, I slowed this way down, but this is normally about a 30-second process for agents. Think about how much time you get back while having the security underneath all this, while having the trackability as the payer moves through. And this is a good place to mention, guys, it's not just the earnest receipts that give you trackability. Again, you're using this app as a suite, desktop and phone app talking to each other. The phone app is going to give you a level of trackability that you're going to love. All my requests are stored in this section right here. I just made this request in front of y'all. I can click into it, and now I can track my home buyer and see that they're making the progress they need to make as we go through this critical time period in the home buying process. We advise all agents to call at this moment in time and let a buyer know, hey, I've sent you an earnest request. You have a request to pay earnest money sitting in your inbox. It's going to say my name. It's going to say the earnest money amount for what property address. And here's the best part, guys. Your buyer doesn't have to download anything. They don't have to try and take a digital image capture of a check and upload it to some software. None of that. All they have to do is click this button, and they will go through a Venmo type payment experience that is completed in typically 3 to 4 minutes. End-to-end tracking, total security, easy to use app suite, desktop and phone app. Really hope that's relevant, guys, and useful for you all. There is a small part of this training we haven't talked about yet, but I do want to stop here before we go forward. If there are any TCs or top teams on this call today, we are seeing top teams all across America embrace the desktop app as the way they do business. Because if you have a TC handling all your requests, this is a perfect, convenient dashboard. Think of it almost like an admin dashboard where the TC can create the requests, keep everybody looped on the requests, and track, from the God's eye view, if you will, track every request as it progresses through and see where the request is in the process. All right? And yes, that's worth a thumbs up, even though I didn't mean to do that. So that's worth a thumbs up right there. All right, guys, I hope that helps. There is one more part of this training before we open it up for Q&A. We don't just push a product at you guys. Even if it is super secure and super convenient, we take one more step. We know that in your business, half the business is making sure your buyers feel confident, and that starts with the buyer presentation right from the get-go. We wanted to make Earnnest a smooth, easy to use, very high confidence level part of your buyer presentation. So what we've done is we built out a portfolio just for you, and this has been shared with Russ and his team. I believe it's in your internal resources library. But all of these guides, including completing a payment. Look how great this is, guys. You can click and drop in a QR code or your logo if you prefer, and you can whip this out for the buyer every single time, and they will have a screen-by-screen account of what they're going to see when they click that Pay Earnest Money button. Notice again, I'll zoom in on something. This product, while not everybody's done a digital payment, more and more folks are very comfortable with the Zelle, Venmo, Coinbase flow of work. We are using a technology in Plaid that is very, very familiar and actually underpins a lot of those technologies as well. What's my point? This UI is going to be very familiar for many of your buyers. Okay. And even the ones that aren't, we keep it really simple and easy to use. If you ever have questions, we make sure to include our support team, and they're ours. This is for your buyer's benefit. We handle dozens of buyers' calls every day. About 60% of them are not technical in nature, guys. They're just a buyer that's never done a digital payment and would like their hand held, so to speak, as they go through it. Okay? That's a great piece. Super relevant, hopefully, for your workflow. What about security questions? We're an open book on our security, guys. It's not just that we don't see or store the banking information. We actually never get it at all. We get encrypted, tokenized API references, layman speak. We don't have the information. If someone were to get past of all of our SOC 2 security settings, guys, they would be breaking into an empty vault. We don't have the buyer's login, account, routing information. We don't have it, which is great. It's the way we designed our system. And we're very upfront again, guys, about how we compare to traditional payment methods. Y'all are probably working with some buyers that are on their seventh, eighth, ninth home, right? And they've done wires, they've done checks. They're going to have questions. A lot of folks are thinking about cybersecurity. What is Earnest? How do we sit and stack up against those other types? So you've got this here as a reference for them to answer commonly asked questions about security and paint a picture of where Earnest fits there. And at the end of it all, guys, and this is where we'll end before we open it up for questions, we are here to help. You've heard from Morgan today. She and her team, everybody on there is an in-house support team member. This was a conscious decision that leadership and I made at the very beginning of Earnest history. We were not going to do chatbots. We were not going to do third-party outsourcing. We were going to have an in-house 8 to 8 live team. And we get to 99.5% of our case queue every day that same day. If you're ever stuck or your buyer is throwing you a curveball question that your resources don't answer, just kick them right over to us. They'll be taken care of very well. They'll be taken care of promptly. They'll be taken care of most likely same day. All right. We're so fortunate to have this partnership. I'll just say again, I appreciate Russ and Brianna and the leadership at C21 Everest. Very early joiners on. When Earnest was kind of a test use case, Russ and team were on board, and it's been a strong partnership ever since. So thank you. We'll open it up now. I know we already probably have some questions in the chat, and feel free to, if it's okay, Russ, if we have time, folks can start coming off of a mute and asking Morgan and I their questions as we go forward. $25 processing fee. No, it's a flat 18 for every client of C21 Everest. Great first question. And Jason, you asked in the chat, do you have to put that in for every client or just once adding your account to pay the fee? That is a really good question, and I should have covered it when I was going through, but I didn't. So good call out there. Okay, so underneath your profile right here, that's the fourth bar down. You have the ability to
You're
decide
not showing
exactly that.
your screen's not showing right now, Blaine.
Oh, thank you so much. Sorry about that, guys. Let's start that again. So we showed you guys the payment request tab where you make your requests. We showed you the funding sources tab where you add via Plaid your funding source. Again, super simple interface, guys. The My Profile section is where you decide exactly that. We try to keep it real easy, guys. Morgan's point and my point, we made them both together, very close together. Make sure you use the same email login to sign into both apps because it is one account and that's how they're connected. That's probably the most important point today. We do see agents separate them by using separate emails. Secondly, to Morgan's point, just make sure you have the funding source confirmed and added before you make your request because then it'll populate the interface.
Yep. And to add to that, just to clarify, when you add a bank account, you only need to add that bank account once. So it's not going to force you to re-add it every request.
And Morgan, I believe switching out bank accounts is pretty simple too from the interface. Can you speak to that? Let's say we go from I have TD Bank connected, that's an East Coast bank. I move West Coast and I got a different bank. It's pretty easy to switch those out, correct?
Yep, very easy. You click funding sources on the left again, add funding source at the top, and it will take you through that process again. Less than a minute to get that added.
Okay. Questions, guys. The floor is yours.
I have a question actually for Russ. When you said that we could tag the lender in it so he gets or she gets the information, that's great. But I'm wondering if, because usually how I do it is I upload it into Dotloop, I send it to the lender so that we have that trail of sending things. But I don't know if we need to do that. So Russ or somebody, can you answer that? Do we need to do it that way, or can we just send it from Earnnest to the lender?
I would say it's better, probably, Chris, for you to still put it in Loop and then share it, just because then we have that in our system as well. But
Perfect. Thank you.
yep.
I'm sure some of y'all have seen, and Russ, I didn't think we could fit it all into a half an hour presentation. I will put in a plug, guys, if you prefer to use Dotloop as your primary method. We are inside of Dotloop as an integration as well. And I can briefly share a screen that shows you guys our Dotloop partner page if you want to explore that further. Russ, if you ever want to bring us back just for a Dotloop focused training, I'd be more than happy to do that too. I'm sharing my screen now, guys. So we are very seamlessly integrated inside of every loop you will create. there is an Earnnest button that is right there inside of your loop. It is the same workflow. There we are right there. I know that's very small. Let me go ahead and zoom in a little. Your standard loop, Earnnest integration, it is the same workflow as what y'all saw on your screen. The only downside today with the dot loop setup is that we do not have an agent covering fee option from within dot loop yet. It's an integration, so we have to build that out separately. Our phone app is our product. But if y'all are interested in that, please fire away on questions there too. We try to be pretty agnostic wherever y'all work.
Hey,
So if
Blaine.
there's like a holiday, right, and you're gotta have that deadline in with the
Oh,
earnest
yeah.
money,
Yeah.
so how quickly does that happen? I mean,
No, that's a great question, Julie. The great thing about the way we work is that a buyer can authorize at any time. ACH network holidays don't affect us in the sense of a buyer can still pay. We just had MLK Day a couple weeks ago. We had buyers calling in all day long, curious, hey, am I okay to make? Yep, you can make the payment. That's why we send that receipt. That's like the cashing the check moment, this receipt on the left, guys. That's how I illustrate it. But it's more than that. Because remember, with every one of your buyers that use Earnest, we've done a sufficient funds check wherever possible. So not only have we got the payment in the network, ready to move when the ACH network opens the next day, it's more likely than not we also did a sufficient funds check wherever their bank allowed us to make sure they had the money they needed. So there are added checks and balances going on, and it's in the ACH network. A cash check will just have to wait until the ACH holiday is over. I hope that helps. Does that help, Julie?
mm-hmm, yeah.
And the deposit times, Julie, are typically 1 to 3 business days. So we're typically faster than the check there too. When I joined Earnest, guys, the average deposit speed was about 4 to 5 business days. So flash forward 6 years, the ACH network keeps getting faster. We're moving about a third of our payments today, same day, same day. So it's getting faster all the time. Good questions. Others?
So according to the Rep C, when they initiate that transfer, are they good within the Rep C?
So yeah, I would say, similar to what Blaine was just saying, is it's going to take time for it to actually clear their account. No different than if they walked in and handed us a check and we deposited, it's going to take a few days. So as soon as they have gone in and made it and they get that receipt, that would count as delivering the earnest money.
Perfect. Thank you.
Appreciate you taking lead on that, Russ. And yeah, guys, we try to let y'all answer that. Every brokerage seems to do it a little different. We have brokerages waiting for the deposited receipt. We have brokerages that go off the authorization receipt. We're just here to explain how it works to you guys. So, other questions here, y'all?
So with the holiday, if for some reason you can't meet that deadline, do you just do I guess, an addendum, Russ, to extend that, or how do we do that without going in default?
Well, based on what Blaine was just sharing, as soon as they go in and do it, even if it's on a holiday, they're going to get that payment receipt. So it would be, that actually would be better than, because the office isn't here, they couldn't walk in and hand us a check, but in essence, they're handing us a check that way. So you would be covered.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, apologies, Julie. I didn't explain that overly well. The short version is they can pay with Earnest even on an ACH holiday, and it's in the network and the receipt gets generated. It's like the check got cashed, if the bank would have been open. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Does it apply to the weekends too, not just the holidays?
That's exactly right. Yep. ACH network is closed for everybody on weekends. So checks, digital payments, nothing's moving. But again, the advantage of Earnest is, guys, is we get it in the network and get proof it's sitting in the network. And that's something that a check can't do. I don't know why, we've had people pay at 3 in the morning. So you can do that.
Oh yeah, you can see that. They will pay on Sunday at 1 or whenever. Yeah.
Yep. That's right, Luz. That's right.
So you're saying if that bounces on the buyer's end, you have money to cover that so that you don't go in default, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Julie. It can get a little bit detailed because the ACH network is complex, but the short version is we are making judgments on the payments as to whether or not they should be accelerated or just move standard ACH. If a payment doesn't meet our threshold for sufficient funds checks, we're just going to move it standard ACH. 1 to 4 business days, it lands when it lands. Most of our payments let us do a higher level security check on them because banks have that technology, and we're speeding those payments ahead. And with those payments, we preserve the unique payment so that even if the buyer does something they're not supposed to, we preserve the payment and get it to the escrow holder account as a unique deposit. And our escrow holders love that because it lets them have the flexibility to decide, are we releasing the funds back to the buyer or does it need to go back to the seller? That's kind of how Earnnest made its name in the industry around good funds. Does that help, Julie?
I think so.
Yeah. It's a higher level of evaluating every payment. Yeah. Behind the scenes. Other questions here, guys. I
So,
hope this has been
so,
helpful.
so you gave kind of a lot of information. And for some of us that are not techies, is there a way that we can review this
Yes,
information again?
Luz. Yeah, I'm recording, and we'll get it put up on our channel like we always do. So you're good.
Okay. All right.
And of course, those two, if you ever want to talk to a support team member, they're here for you guys too. If you want to just walk through your first request, we have agents every week call in and just want to do their first request with someone at their shoulder, so to speak. More than happy to do that. Once you're in the flow, though, guys, 30 seconds to request on a phone app is so simple. It's powerful to be able to see the transaction updating from the app. It's like a Domino's pizza tracker, but with higher stakes, right?
So make sure I understand this right. So let's have the scenario where their check bounces for some reason. Are we going to know that when you verify that pretty soon, like right away? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
that's right. Julie, you're asking really good questions. Yeah, if the payment outright fails, let's say what you guys call bounces, if payment outright fails and we judge that it should have failed, we notify all parties instantly via another receipt and email that goes straight to everybody. That's why escrow holders and agents love us. We let y'all know immediately. Does that help?
Yeah, that's great to know.
Yep. Yep. I didn't have that receipt displayed today, but it's the exact kind of receipt, but it lets you know payment failed. And that gets everybody in the loop quick.
Okay, well, our time is up. So, but thank you, Blaine, and thank you, Morgan, for jumping on. If you guys do have other questions, then, like Blaine said, you can call their support and ask them. Also, there's a lot of good information on their website as well. But anyway, thank you, everyone, for jumping on and being here. And thank you to Earnnest for helping support us and making it easier for us to stay within our deadlines on the contract. So, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, guys. Take care now.
And
Thank
have a
you.
great weekend, everyone.
Thank
See ya.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.